Hey there, my name is Przemek, Santa Sangre Magazine. First of all, I'd like to wish you all the best in 2023. And today I'd like to discuss my favorite albums of 2022. To be honest, I still have a lot to catch up. I suppose I missed at least a couple of worthy albums. But okay, it's not a top 10, it's more like a quick chit chat, so without further ado, let's cut to the chase. First of all, the album I have listened to the most last year, and it's Vatican Shadow, Coast Guard, Gulf of Blood. In general, I love when Dominic Ferno leaves his noisy comfort zone in Prurient, or maybe it isn't his comfort zone anymore, as he feels very efficient in everything he does. Like, for example, on Frozen Niagara Falls by Prurient, which is like in my top 5 of the best albums of previous decade. And Vatican Shadow is like, you know the scene from Jarhead by Sam Mendes when the soldier march through the desert. You see the burning oil fields. One of the soldiers is imitating James Dean from Giant. I'm rich, big, richer than you. And that fucking amazing theme by Thomas Newman. I think Dominic Ferno could one day remix or sample it in Vatican Shadow. Anyway, often when I listen to Vatican Shadow, I remember that scene. I have those images in my mind. This mix of techno, ambient, a bit of industrial with a Middle Eastern feeling and perhaps a slightly political agenda. Makes me think of Vatican Shadow as a spiritual ancestor of Muslim Gauss, though obviously Ferno's project is less noisy and cut up and more approachable. Not sure if it's his best work as Vatican Shadow. For this moment, the album American Flesh for Violence remains my favorite by this project. But I gave it so many listens to Coast Guard Gulf of Blood this last year, and I simply had to include this one on the list. Another album I'd like to discuss is Dodds Maskin. I'm not sure if I pronounce it correctly. Here Moral, Slave Moral. It's released by Ant Zen. It's rhythmic industrial power electronics, but played with almost black metal expression, and the vitality of this album is overwhelming. Everything shakes inside of you when you listen to it. You can listen to it. You can't listen to it lying on your bed or writing a love letter or something. It pumps the adrenaline, and at the same time, it's pretty catchy and easy to digest. Well, obviously, if you're aware that it's still industrial / power electronics. But let's take, for example, track Trüsselbilder, to which, by the way, they recorded a very cool video, which you can find on YouTube. It has a perfect sound, perfect, power and feeling. Also, it's the album sometimes is beautifully filled with atmospheric melodies, like the final fragments of the track called Virkeligheten. So surely their best material up to date. Okay, now dark ambient. I need to say that I really liked the albums I recorded the videos about on my channel. It's Atrium, Carceri and Kammarheit, Colossus, God Body Disconnect, Spiral of Grief, Shrine, Nausicaa. These are all perfect additions to their discographies of all these projects, confirming that all of them are in good shape, still having the ideas and the creative touch. It's a shame that Shrine has suspended its activity, but maybe he'll come back one day. I hope so. I can't also forget about truly captivating Nox album called Abyssal Codex, released by Winterlight, which to me was a huge step forward when compared to Yuricha Santek's debut as Nox. It was called Opus Unending. I recorded, as I said, I recorded videos about all these albums, so if you know, if you want to know my opinion, just check the videos. I leave the links in the description. Although when it comes to dark ambient, the one I listened to the most and the best I got to know this year was Lin Itzwin Du I Moret. Sorry for the pronunciation. It's Welsh, I think. The album released by Cold Spring, and this is that kind of ambient I like the most, deep with minimal melodies and skillful use of field recordings. Literally, it is the music which makes me feel like standing on a cliff somewhere in Wales on a rainy and misty autumn morning. It's cold and grey, sometimes getting close to isolationist or glacial ambient classics like Lull or Thomas Conner or Sleep Research Facility. This organic aspect is almost tangible here. You know, it's perfect. By the way, today I saw the announcement of a split album between this Lil Itzwin and one of my favorite dark deep ambient heroes, the mentioned Sleep Research Facility. It's scheduled for April, and it will be the first release by Sleep Research Facility since 2012, and his brilliant Stealth album. And as I wrote on my Facebook wall, I think I already know what my album of the year will be. Okay, now some dark neo-folk, dark cabaret neo-folk, 2 albums. First one is Rose Rovine e Amanti, Sogni Visioni e Premonizioni. It's released by Corvus Records, the label from Bulgaria. And about this album, you know, the first song I heard from this one was La Visione di Emeric, and I thought when I listened to it, damn, they played the same song again, but second thought was, damn, they got me again. I love it, even though I feel like I heard it so many times before. Once again, it's a beautiful, passionate neo-folk with that specific Mediterranean touch, played in their own unique style. Perhaps there's a bit less rock influences than on previous albums, but still it's a classy material, even if their worldview is not exactly compatible with mine. The other dark pop, dark cabaret, neo-folk, whatever release I need to honor is Get Me a Ladder, Damn It, by David Williams. And this American songwriter never goes below a certain level, and things are no different in this case. There's also a video review on my channel, so if you want to know more, I refer you to the video and link below. Okay, now a bit of metal. 3 albums. The first one is Voivod, Synchro Anarchy. If you know me, you know that I'm a huge fan of Voivod first 7 albums, especially from the third, Killing Technology, to the 7th, The Outer Limits. Later, when they changed the vocalist, Snake left the band, and Eric Forrest joined in. I still like them. They are those albums like Negatron or the next one. I forgot the title right now. I still like them, but it was not the same. You know, a few years later, Snake returned to the band, but I couldn't feel that magic. Perhaps it was because of the absence of Piggy, who unfortunately has passed away. And I still don't think this is the same Voivod as in the 80s and early 90s. But I guess Synchro Anarchy is their best work in many years. It's a bunch of great songs, catchy thrash, power metal with a progressive touch. The old-timers still have a lot of youthful vigor, and good for them and for us. I need to single out two more albums and two completely different approaches to the extreme metal. One is Drudh, and their album, which title is Ukrainian, but the English title is All Belonged to the Night. The Ukrainian black metal, far from being innovative in any aspect, but it doesn't matter, as it's thrilling, melodic, and full of passion. The album where melancholia intermingles with dignity. Also, I'm not sure when it was composed and recorded, I mean before or after the war. Well, I suppose before the war, but even if it does, to me it is difficult to listen without the context of what's going on in Ukraine today, and I can't listen to it without thinking of this album as a symbol of power and relentlessness of Ukrainian nation. It's really powerful. And the other one is Imperial Triumphant, Spirit of Ecstasy. The band's music and the general idea has always reminded me of upper class societies free of any religious or political restraints, where there's something rotten behind the elegant facade. Kind of a Bioshock feeling, and it's utopian underwater city of rapture. If you've played this game, you get the idea, I think. It's like they use black slash death metal to further explorations where virtuosity meets insanity with often avant jazz vibe. It's surely one of the most inspiring and innovative metal bands these days. And the last album is perhaps the easiest to digest of all of them, but it's still very nice. Okay. Last but not least, I'd like to say a few words about the soundtrack for a video game called Stray. This soundtrack is composed by Jan van der Kruisen. For those who aren't into video games, it's a story of a stray cat who, because of an unfortunate event or accident, has detached from the group of his cat friends and found himself in an underground city inhabited by robots, as all the people has extinct, and remaining robots try to take over the people's habits. And our goal in the game is to find the way to the surface and reconnect with the other cats. It's a beautiful little game with a touching ending, and the music nicely underlines its calm and melancholic atmosphere. You know, it's ambient electronics with warm sounds, delicate rhythms, and nice tunes, sometimes reminding me of electronic works by Ryuichi Sakamoto, like those with Alvanotto, for example. And for me, it's working great, even if listened separately from the game. Okay, that would be everything, I think. Just a moment. Let me check if I have missed something. Right, the last thing, the coolest video I've seen this year is the one for Zola Jesus song called The Fall. Aesthetically wise, it does me so good, you know, that Suspirian vibe in the video. Really cool, really cool. Find it on YouTube. The whole album, the last album by Zola Jesus, called Archon, is pretty neat too. It's intense and emotional, not leaving a lot of space for light and hope, but filled with some really thrilling tunes. Also my recommendation. Okay, that's it. 15 minutes, it's enough. Next week I will return with new reviews, so we will open the year properly. For now, thanks for watching and see you soon.